the key to life as a human being, to get more out of this life, is to develop yourself. And so you have to be focused on self improvement. In order to self improve, you have to have a better mind. So you have to improve your psychology. One way to do that is through self observation, of course, but also to understand the views of other people. This is why we bring in books. Side note, we have people also that are commenting, oh, this is pseudoscience and this and that. So let me explain one thing to you. This is very important because sometimes we think that if someone doesn't have a certification or this or that, we think that if they didn't write books, then we will believe that they don't have the merit. So understand this. If we think about science, just the simple study of science and what science is essentially just looking at something. That's all it is. The study of the structure and the behavior of the physical and the natural world through observation. That is the literal definition of science. So we're all scientists. That's the first thing. We think of science as in a lab, running tests. No, you can run tests in the environment. You can run tests in your house. You can run tests in your neighborhood. You can run tests with yourself. You can observe your behavior. You can observe everything, the physical and the natural world. You can observe those things. Now, what is psychology? Because we speak about mastering psychology. What is the real definition of psychology? By definition, give or take, by definition, it's the scientific study of the human and its functions, especially when it deals with behavior. In contrast, that is the definition of psychology. So we are speaking about human beings and their functions, especially when it comes to behavior, because we want to improve our behavior, but we also want to know the behavior of other people. So this is why we're sharing these 17 books here. This is not stuff that I just pull out the air. These are things that I have actually lived through observation, science, but also reading as well, the viewpoints of other people. And while we're reading, what are we doing? We're strengthening our mind, because this is a muscle. So it needs to be stimulated. The more you can read, the better it is for you, because you get to see other people's, you get to see how they looked at things or how they experienced things. This is not necessarily meaning that you're absolutely going to learn everything, but you will see their viewpoints and you will be able to use these things. So let's understand that you're as much as a scientist and a psychologist as anybody. Don't go off of the institutionalized, or you didn't go to school for this. If you read enough books and you understand the things that you see, you understand psychology, you understand science, you are a scientist. Let's get to the books. The first book is the first books I've ever read in my life. This is The 7 Spiritual Laws of Success by Deepak Chopra. This is a very small book. It's an easy read. You could probably read this, depending upon how fast you read, you can read this in a couple of hours, probably less, depending upon who you are. This is a good book, very small book. You can put it in your pocket, but this is one of those 17 books that I would recommend you read. Deepak Chopra has a list. He has a host of many books that he has written. Deepak Chopra. This is one that Jenny Rodriguez, if you're watching this video, I did not throw the book away. I just picked up the book when I was putting some things together. This is The Traveler's Gift. So this one I haven't read all the way through, but so far, so good. This is just one that's in my recommendations, right? Another one, when we're dealing with individuals, whether you're dealing with sales, whether you're dealing with conversations, there's strategy sometimes to things, especially if you're dealing with sales. But in life, we are always selling. And so that means that we have to know how to deal with people and how people think and what they may respond with. Now, this is not to be used for evil, but this is a good book. Win every argument. right here. This one's by Mehdi Hassan. Win Every Argument. All right. You can see the cover of it. Win Every Argument. We all want to debate, right? We're all debating each and every day. So this is a good one. This is the one that I really like. This one is by Charles Duhigg, The Power of Habit. We're just the sum total of all of our habits. Now, if you are able to transform your habits, if you're able to create new habits, then you can have a new life. It's really that simple. So we have these habits that we don't realize are the things that are keeping us behind, because whether it's a good habit or a bad habit, it is a habit. So depending upon what you're doing, maybe someone can look at your life and they'll know the type of habits that you have, or they can look at you and know the type of habits that you have. And so if you don't self-reflect, then you won't know if the habits are serving you or not. But maybe someone else on the outside can look and see that you keep repeating the same cycles, the same things. So habits can deliver you. This is a good book, The Power of Habit. One of my favorite books by Malcolm Gladwell, The Outliers. This is a book that is an outlier is a person that, or a group of people that do things that are not common, right? The way that they do things, they get results, but they're absolutely just not common. So naturally or normally you wouldn't follow whatever it is that they're doing. It wouldn't be something that someone would recommend that you try to do what they do because they're an outlier. Whatever they did is just like 1 in 1,000 or 1 in a million. These type of people are special people, but you can learn what it takes or some of the things that these outliers have done. This is a good book by Malcolm Gladwell. Outliers are essentially anomalies, right? They don't happen all the time, but because of how they do things line up for them and they get certain results, and things happen that wouldn't normally happen because of how they do it. So an outlier may be someone that an example of an outlier may be someone that never, I use sports, right? Someone that never played basketball, but they just walked into a tryout. They were athletic. Maybe they walked into a high school tryout and they made the team and they end up being the star of the team, having never played any real basketball ever. That's an outlier. That's not a path that we would recommend you take, but some people are just born to be that way. So some people are outliers. They can do certain things and they can have certain results. So this is a very good book right here. One of my favorite, Dr. Joseph Murphy, The Power of the Subconscious Mind. This one right here, I'm going to put this one near the top. Because it has to deal with psychology. And many people that watch the channel that are hardcore psychology by the book, right? By the books that you may go by in psychology, right? Whether it's Emil Durkheim, Peter Senge, you have a lot of different people. What is it? Talcott Parsons, he's another one. There's so many of these different guys. Pavlov, there's a lot of different people. If you're not naming to many people that work in psychology, if you're not naming these individuals, then you don't know about psychology. But psychology is still, what did we just say? It's still the study of human and their functions based upon how they deal with behavior. And so this guy right here, Dr. Joseph Murphy, working with the subconscious mind that has to deal with psychology, was able to help people achieve amazing results. The problem with people in general is that they only go on what they can see. And see, as you start to get deep into manifestations and metaphysics, what you're going to understand is you have to see it to believe it. Many people have to believe it in order to see it. No, they have to see it in order to believe it. But what a lot of the metaphysics and the quantum physics speaks to is that you have to believe it in order to see it. See, once you believe it as if it's already happened, then you will have it. So it's a different way of thinking, but it's very powerful and it's proven over and over and over. Your life is a certain way because of beliefs that you continue to have over and over. They're strong beliefs that you continue to have. Most of the thoughts that you're thinking today, 90% of them, you thought them yesterday and the day before that. And so what will happen is your life can be very predictable because you're running on the same thoughts. You keep repeating the same. It's a cycle. And so if it's a cycle, you have no choice but to continue to get the same results. So dealing with people like Dr. Joseph Murphy, programming that subconscious mind for whatever it is that you want, because it's the automatic mind. It runs on auto, It runs on auto. That means that it'll do things for you without you thinking. Like if you start walking and running and somebody is calling you, right? You pick it up and you continue to run. You pick up your phone, you continue to walk, and you don't think about it. Subconscious mind is the automatic mind. Wisdom of the Psychopaths by Kevin Dutton. Hey, many of the people that we label as psychopaths are very smart people. They may engage in things that are not beneficial. They may engage in gaslighting, right? They may be narcissists. They may be a lot of things, but many of these individuals are smart. You have to be able to manipulate people. And so reading books like this help you to understand the wisdom and the brilliance of these individuals, because they're not done by a long shot. Anyone that's ever been able to influence people, they're very good. What has happened is they may use their powers for evil. So it's just a matter of a shift in perspective, but they're very smart. Many of them are very smart, or were very smart individuals, many psychopaths. They're not without knowledge, without wisdom. So we can learn from everyone, right? Again, this is by Kevin Dutton, Wisdom of the Psychopaths. Another one of my favorites, The Biology of Belief by Bruce Lipton. Now, this is not necessarily an easy read because he does a lot of science type stuff in this book. He speaks about this stuff a lot. But this is explaining how belief works on your biology, how you can heal yourself with your brain, how you can change your circumstances through your thoughts, how your thoughts and what you believe in. I just explained earlier that the belief, oftentimes you have to believe it in order to see it. And this just is this goes a little bit more in depth, but because Dr. Lipton, I believe he's worked in hospitals and different things like that, he's able to medically speak about this from a medical standpoint, in addition to a metaphysical standpoint. So this is powerful. Usually they would call people quacks for even speaking this way, but this stuff is proven. So he has the good fortune of having worked with people that were ill, in addition to helping people to bring things about and manifest and stuff like that. The Biology of Belief. Charles Duhigg, this one is Super Communicators. This one has to do with government. The one story I remember is about a government. He was either working for the FBI, CIA, might have been CIA, but getting into the mind of individuals, how to deal with and how to speak to individuals, being a super communicator, learning the body language of individuals, learning what to ask them, learning how to speak to them. This goes through several different communications of, I believe he's a CIA agent, and he's explaining many different stories on how they were able to get their job done by simply communicating. Now, maybe things that you and I don't see, but these people are masters at what they do, and they're trained. Many of them are trained. Some are more gifted than others, but to be a super communicator is important, because whatever it is that you speak, I'm communicating right now. So essentially, I would like for a message to get across to you. That's what I want. I want to get a message. That's why we're speaking. Well, that's why I'm speaking. So I need to be able to communicate effectively in order to be able to get my message across to you. So there's certain things that I must say to help to get that across. So it's my job. Like my man Coach Lynch would say in South America or Central America. What did he say? No, he had it wrong. He said, I'm responsible for what I say to you. What you interpret is on you. I could take that response. I could take that route. See, he was wrong in saying that. I'm responsible for what I say to you in order for me to get you to understand what it is that I'm saying. So I need you to understand as well. So I'm also responsible for that. And if you don't understand it, I need to say it in a way that helps you to understand. Right? So I need to be convincing with my words. I need to be able to communicate effectively. So these are a couple of the books. I think this is about 9 books. And I have a few other books that I don't have physically with me, but we're still going to talk about them. Number 1 is The Mucusless Diet Healing System by Professor Arnold Ehret. Arnold Ehret. Ehret. That book has to do with healing all kinds of natural diseases with fruits, fasting, all of that. I recommend that for anyone. Physical health is still a big part of this. And that book will change your life rather than you resorting to medicines, whether you got high blood pressure, any condition you can think of, that book will help you. Professor Arnold Ehret. The next book is The Richest Man in Babylon. I can't remember the guy that wrote it, but The Richest Man in Babylon basically explains about building wealth for yourself, how to build wealth, how to pay yourself first, how using your money you can still build wealth for yourself. That is a good read. It's a great read, actually. The Richest Man in Babylon. Remember that? I can't remember who, because I read the book so long ago. I can't remember who wrote that one. The next one is The Millionaire Next Door. Is that by Stanley Morgan? Stanley Burroughs? No. Stanley Burroughs is the Stanley Burroughs is the guy that wrote The Master Clans. I think that's Stanley Burroughs. I think, but The Millionaire Next Door explains how people with, and I won't say meager, but medium, regular, everyday salaries was able to build themselves into millionaires by $40,000 and $50,000 jobs, whether they were police officers, plumbers, whatever it was that they were able to build themselves up. And it also explained how the average millionaire dresses, their purchasing habits, how they buy things. They don't buy the things that you would think that they buy. They don't spend the money on the things that you would think that they spend the money on as well. Also, the average millionaire, they're, you can say frugal. They spend on some things, but they don't spend how people would imagine that they spend. Some stuff, they like to pay their cars off rather than having notes, or I think that's what it was. One of the things they either bought used cars or something like that. But again, that's the average millionaire. The Millionaire Next Door. What's another book? I'm missing something. Psycho-Cybernetics. Psycho-Cybernetics by Maxwell Maltz. I mentioned this in another video previously. Psycho-Cybernetics is a plastic surgeon, Maxwell Maltz, who was operating on different people, plastic surgery on different individuals, women, I think, primarily. And he was fixing their bodies and all of that. But what he realized is, no matter, even if he did fix your nose or he fixed your body, what he realized is that people, they saw themselves through their mind, not through their eyes. They would look in the mirror and they would see something different, but they still would think of themselves as their old selves. And so he realized that it was here that you had to fix the problem, right? You had to, that cybernetic working, you got to rewire and fix all of that wiring to have the outcome that you want. Because just because you got the surgery doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to think that you look better. And so they were very surprised by that. And so he goes in depth about this. This is a very good book. And in terms of fixing your creating a positive self-image for yourself, fixing your self-image. It starts in the mind, not with the eyes. You don't see yourself with your eyes. Most people don't. You see yourself with your mind. So even if your face changed or whatever it was, you would still see yourself through here. And this is where the issue is where you have to fix the issue. Psycho-cybernetics. Another book is Talent is Overrated. Talent is Overrated is a very good book because it explains about work ethic and how you can overcome and how many people would beat or defeat people that were better than them because of their work ethic, through repetitions, through the way that they practice, through the way that they approach things. And if I'm not mistaken, the word that they would use is deliberate practice. Deliberate practice, meaning that I'm going to do something a certain way deliberately each and every time to deliver a result, whatever that is in life for you. Talent is Overrated. That's a very good book. I particularly like that book because I had athletic ability and all of that, but I was a hard worker as an athlete, professional athlete, and even on the college level, I was a hard worker. So I believed in that. And even beyond that, I believe that working hard but working smart, that combination is better. Remember, if you use the body so much, the body will only go so far. So you want to use your mind more than your body. The people that use their mind more, they have people that use their bodies for them. Think about it. In a factory, if you got 20,000 people working for you in Chrysler in Detroit or wherever, whoever's running that place, they're just using their brain. They have systems set up for the people to be working. So these are things that we want to combine the hard work with the smart. So talent is overrated. It's another one I'm trying to figure out. The Compound Effect. How could I forget that one? That was by what's this guy's name? It'll come to me. He had one of those magazines. Is it Fortune? No, not Fortune. Anyway, The Compound Effect is a good book. Has to deal with things compounding over time. Whatever you do, let's say whatever you do today, in 2 years, those things that you did every day will be the reason to why you got to where you were, and that effect will compound over however many years. So if you were great in performing on your job, let's say you got a promotion, you're great in performing, you did not get there because of last night, right? Or the night before. You didn't get the promotion because of the night before. You got the promotion because of years of work, of compound effort, and the compound effort pays you dividends over time. What was that guy's name, man? I'm trying to remember his name, who wrote it, but The Compound Effect is a good one. The next one is The Science of Getting Rich. This is my favorite book of all time. The Science of Getting Rich by Wallace D. Wattles. I think the book was written in the early 1900s, before 1920, for sure before 1930. This book is a book that changed my life forever. This is my favorite book of all time. The way the book is written, if you follow the directions of the book and you do what the book is recommending, you will change your life forever. That book is the precursor to the Napoleon Hill book, The Science of Getting Rich, which is the next book that I'm going to name, The Science of Getting Rich. But Wallace D. Wattles, Think and Grow Rich is Napoleon Hill's book. The Science of Getting Rich by Wallace D. Wattles is very important. So it explains how there's a science to this. There's an exact science, and how we can prove that it's an exact science, because if someone does everything that they're supposed to do, everything that the book says, and they get rich, And by riches, we're not talking about money always, right? We're talking about riches in whatever way it is that you want. But by doing and following these steps, and they become rich spiritually, they become rich financially, they become rich in health. However you want to become rich, by doing these things, this is the proof that it works. If one person uses this and they get whatever it is that they desire, then that's proof that it works. So it explains a lot of this stuff about that man gets his greatest joy from the bestowal of gifts upon those that he loves. That's why they say man is a provider. So he's going to get the joy from that. It explains about giving in use value, giving more in use value. If you and I are in business and I take more from you than I give you, then that was a bad business transaction energetically. So that means that you can be righteous and do business. So in the book, it uses the example of if you are an Inuit person, aka Eskimo, what they're known as, right? We say Inuit people. If I give you a painting and you give me $500, what is that painting going to do for you in your house over there where it's cold at where you live at? The painting is not going to do anything for you. But if I give you a shotgun, I have given you more in use value. Why? Because with that, you can go hunt and get whale meat, whale blubber, seal meat, seal blubber, bear meat, bear fat, fish. You can get all these things. You can hunt for years with that gun.